Okay, I hope you got a chance to take a little break. And we're back. And now we have our widgets set up inside a wing. Okay, so we got these different widgets. However, we can't really do anything with them yet. What we really want to do is be able to do things like have the user enter some numbers into here, and then they click a button, and we do some Python code in the background. And of course, because Python not only has such great math capabilities, but also because of all the libraries available, what we can do is just crazy, huge amounts of stuff. So how do we get this button to activate some Python code? That's what we're going to do next. So the next piece of code, notice it says connecting widgets to functions. First, before we do anything, we need to define a function for our widget. Okay, so I fixed the tabs, just copied and pasted. All we really need is, a function with a good name. We pass in self, so we have it available, and then we're going to print some information. Okay, so now we have our function. The next step is to connect the function to our button. We can do that. Where's our button? There's our button. Right here, I'm just going to say button.clicked.connect to self.buttonPushed. So that's going to go to this function inside our class, okay, when our button is clicked. So when the user clicks on it, it's going to call this function, which we just defined up here as this one. All right, when we run this, gotta do that, and okay, when I click the button, you should see, did it work? Did it work? Oh, it did. Debug.io is just being weird. Okay, so now we click the button, and it's printing text down here in Debug.io. All right, still not really usable yet, so let's keep going. Okay. So now we need to bring some information from the user, right? We've got a text edit, or they call it a line edit box in QGIS. Okay, there's our line edit. Now, you may or may not have noticed, but when I created this, I went ahead and said self dot the line edit equals line edit. Now what that does, whenever you see self dot, that means that that variable is attached to the object. And this is one of the really powerful things about object-oriented programming. In other words, because there's self dot inside our initialization, we can access what's inside line text edit from inside another function that's still inside our class. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and copy this code and paste it in so I get it right. Okay, so I'm going to say that again. So down here where we created our line edit, we said self dot. That creates a variable within our object. Now when the button pushed function gets called, we can go to self.lineEdit, and now we can call a function in our line editor object to get the text from the user, put in a local variable. And then I'm going to go ahead and print that. Let's go ahead and run this again. Now I can put some text in here. When I click this button, ta-da! Okay, to do it with a breakpoint. Okay, we can do the same thing now. There it is. Okay, click. Whoops, where's my breakpoint? Sometimes the breakpoints get pesky. Oh, there we go, there's our breakpoint. We do a step, and we can see that the text has our text in it from the GUI. Okay, cool. So now what we have is we have a graphical user interface with a button that we can use to get information from the user, and we've got a checkbox here. Now we need to be able to put some information back out to the user. So let's say we're going to get this text, and then we want to do some calculation and put it into a text field. Well, those are typically going to be labels. I've already got one label here, so let's just go ahead and copy that, paste it down here, and put it into self. Whoops. And how about we call it the output value, or output label. Sounds like a good name. Okay, now I don't need to put anything in it, okay, but I am going to say temp just so you can see where it is and how all this works. Okay, so now I put that in self. I also need to copy and paste self over here and the output label. Okay, and all I've really done now is just added yet another variable over here, another widget over here. So this one, temp, is now our output. Okay, but now up here what we can do is we can say self dot, what was that again? The output label. The output label dot, is it set text? Yep, the text. So all I'm going to do is take my text from here and put it into my output label. Also going to print it. Printing is kind of handy for debugging. All right. This is another test. Click. Hit our breakpoint. Okay, it's going to print it. Yep, there it printed it. Now it's going to put it in our output. And there it is. So we've moved this text over to here. Now, not really exciting, but I've actually given you all the tools for you to be able to get input from the user. Inside this function, of course, this text will come in as a string. So if it's numbers, you need to convert it to numbers, from a string to numbers. Do some calculation, convert it back to a string, which you know how to do, and then go ahead and set that in your output. Also, you can play a little bit with the layouts, try different approaches. I don't recommend rushing the layouts. Take some time, kind of play with that, be creative. And because there is a lot of stuff you're starting to put together now around Python and all the different pieces. So don't get yourself in a bind where you have to get stuff done really quickly, or you'll get frustrated. Just a couple other things to know. There are also combo boxes. These are also called drop-down boxes. So we can add those. And what you'll see is this has a set of items from a list, and then we can create a combo box, and then we can add our items in a loop, and then add that as a widget to one of our horizontal displays. Oh, I got an error. The line edit is not defined. Oh, well, I need to fix that. That's an error on the website. I will get to that. Oh, now we have a little combo box. Okay. Sliders are kind of cool. We can add sliders. I'm also going to make my dialog quite a bit wider so that everything fits. Let's see, slider, slider, slider. And we need to go ahead and add that. Oh, did it again. Errors on the web page. Okay, there's our slider. Looks kind of funky. Okay, and I'll fix the website. I believe that's from the old version of Qt. I should have taken that out. Okay, last but not least, so there's a bunch of different graphical user interface controls or widgets. Also, there's the Z Code Qt tutorial, which I highly recommend. That's how I learned to use Qt. And the Qt documentation, which is better for reference documentation. It really focuses on the C++ classes. The Z Code one focuses on Python, which is nicer for us. C++ is pretty different from Python. Okay, so the other thing you can do is you can have a message box appear. So when the user presses a button or does something else, you might want to have a message box pop up. Okay, so we can do run, and now we press that, we get a message box. These could be used, of course, for errors or warnings. Just quick. You could even use them for debugging to output stuff to a little message box. All right, so that's it. I like doing graphical user interface programming, and I hope you guys do too.